Huh. Try again. We're going to try again. Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Crispina French, and I am a textile upcycling artist, entrepreneur, activist, and I am super excited about a project that I'm working on right now that is called a stitch along. It's called the Stitch-a-Long 3.0. It's a stitch along with me, Crispina French, and it's a fundraiser, you guys. It's a fundraiser, and actually, every time we've done a stitch along, we raise funds for a different organization. And with this particular one, we are raising funds for Gee's Bend, a quilting studio in Gee's Bend, Alabama. And if any of you are in the quilting world, give me a high five if you're in the quilting world. Are you a quilter? Um, Gee's Bend, Alabama is the birthplace of North American textile upcycling. And it's a tiny little town located in Alabama, kind of in the middle of nowhere. It's pretty remote. Never been. I'm planning a trip and I'm excited about that. But Mary Margaret Petway is someone who I recently met on my textile upcycling journey. And when we got chatting, she told me that she would just love to have a quilting studio so she could make her full size pieces, quilts and such, to, spread them out and have a nice place to work. And I just couldn't believe that there are quilts from Gee's Bend in over 20 international, well-renowned, highly respected museums, yet the people who make these, carry the legacy of Gee's Bend forward, have no place to actually do their work. So it was a little kind of this. I was kind of dumbfounded, actually, and I thought we can do something about that. So I put together a fundraiser called the Stitch Along 3.0. And I just so what we're doing, every person who wants to participate can do that, and you can buy admission at my shop, which is crispina.eco. And then if you click on the stitch along thing, you'll go if you go to my website, and that will give you a lot of information about the stitch along. But you can join the stitch along, and part of what you do when you're in the stitch along, beginning yesterday actually, is make your own kit. Kits were for sale, but now they've been sold out, and I just didn't want anybody to be deterred by the idea of building their own kit. So I thought, you know what, some people might not realize just exactly how easy it is to make a kit. So I wanted to show you just how to do that. So the squares are 12-inch squares, and we are in the process of putting together a little a PDF that we will send out to everybody who buys in, that will have the measurements and suggestions and colorations for the fabrics, whether it's the fiber content and the colors that we're kind of like gearing toward, but it's like really kind of free range. So I'm feeling kind of like a little unprepared because I have so many things on my table right here that it's not easy for me to find what I'm looking for, which is the actual square. So, anyway, I'm just going to wing it. So the squares are, and actually maybe I can do a little screen share here. I haven't done that in the past, but let me see what happens if I try to do that. It makes me nervous. Okay, so the squares are 12 inches, and this is a little sample kit that I put together that's like a mini kit. And when I make the sample squares up, I make them 7-inch squares just so it's quicker for me to sew. So it's going to be, does anybody out there who's listening, are you guys familiar with the Stitch Along 3.0? It's, like I said, it's a collaborative textile upcycling project, and everybody who buys in makes a 12-inch square. And part of what you get when you buy your admission is you get classes. So there are 4 1-hour long classes that are taught live on Zoom by myself, my girlfriend Sandra Primo, who's also a textile upcycling alchemist from Austin, Texas, and Mary Margaret Petway from Gee's Bend, Alabama. We will be team teaching the classes, and it actually really, we think, takes about 3 hours to create your component. So we give four classes with the idea that you will be able to attend 3. If you can attend all 4, that's great. If you want to get super detailed with your stitchery, you can totally do that, but that might take a little bit longer than the just, finish the square kind of classes that we'll have. And we're going to teach you every single step of the way. It's all hand sewn. You do not need to have a sewing machine. All you need is fabric to create your kit. And you also are going to need a pair of nice sharp scissors. You're going to need some needles that, hand sewing needles that would be suitable to use with embroidery floss, which comes in a 6-strand pull, but we're going to use half of that. So we're going to be using 3 strands of the 6-strand embroidery floss. And let's see, and you'll need the pattern, which we will send you on a PDF. So the materials that I have put aside, and I just want to show these to you. And you guys, I know this is really terrible, and maybe you guys can help each other out, but like, I'm going to run in the next room and I'm going to get the sample square. I thought I had it on my table and I do not. So give me 1 second. Okay. I'll be right back. I'm back. Thanks for waiting, guys. So this is the sample square, and everybody's going to make one of these squares. This is a 7-inch square. We're actually going to be making 12-inch squares for the stitch along, but this will give you the visual. So it's a quarter of a sunflower. So if you can imagine 4 of these sewn together, so there'd be like a big round sunflower with 4 different squares. And so each person who contributes to that sunflower will have their own spin on their little piece of that sunflower. So to make the kits for this, you can see that the center circle piece here is kind of like a pattern with a lot of dark. This one's got navy blue, but you could use black, chocolate brown, any kind of a dark kind of pattern is going to be suitable for that center piece. And then as you can see here, the petals that I've got here are all kind of, reds and pinks and oranges. There's a little purple. So like, warmer colors. There's a little gingham here. Can you see the gingham? This is a piece of silk shirt that I found. And some other, this is actually a piece of t-shirt here, this purple bit on the bottom. So I'm going to show you how to cut this. Oh, and then we have this little green heart over here. And the green hearts are going to turn into 4-leaf clovers when the quilt is sewn together. And if anyone's not familiar with how the patterning of quilts happens, you can go on my website where you can see I photoshopped this particular square into a 4-piece so that you can see the whole sunflower as like, oh, okay, that's what it'll look like. And then when you start putting those 4 squares sewn together, when you put a few of those together, then you're going to create these little 4-leaf clovers that will happen in the corners of the it actually won't really look like a corner. It'll look like another design element on the quilt once it gets stitched together. So just for anyone who's just joined, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I would love to know, you guys, 2 things. Are you listening live or are you watching this as a recording? And how did you find this particular live? Is this something that you come to each week on Tuesdays at 11 when I do my Textile Alchemy live streams? Or is this something that you just stumbled upon because it popped up on your feed and you thought, maybe I should check that out? I'd love to know those 2 things. And I'd love to just say hi and welcome to everybody who's here, whether you're a regular who comes every week, or if you're somebody who's just stumbled across us here, welcome. And I'm so glad you're here. I am passionate about textile upcycling, recycling, reuse. I love to show people how easy it is to recycle textiles, right? Like the textile industry, you guys, is the 2nd most polluting industry in the world after the oil and gas industry. And oddly enough, believe it or not, most of the textile industry is connected to the oil and gas industry because polyester is a synthetic fiber, which is made from petroleum products. And it is actually 65% of the new fabrics made on planet Earth today are made out of polyester. So we have the power to do stuff about that. And I am totally like, let's not go into those statistics anymore. Let's just know that there's an issue that we can help with and have fun doing it. So here we are, and we're talking about building our kits for the Stitch-a-Long that's coming up. You can learn more about the Stitch-a-Long at my website. There's a blog post about it at my blog called Ragtimes. There is a sales page you can go to if you're ready to join the ranks of amazing people who will be participating in our 4-hour-long Zoom sessions, where I will team teach this project with my friend Sandra Primo, who is a renowned textile upcycling alchemist from Austin, Texas. She has a company called Unruffled, and just a lovely, lovely person. And Mary Margaret Petway, who is a renowned G's Bend quilter. She teaches sewing. She is a public speaker. She travels all over the world. She collaborates with, Greg Lauren, who is Ralph Lauren's nephew. She's doing a huge collaboration with him right now. She had her work used on the Paris Fashion Week runway earlier this year, 2022. So this is going to be awesome. And we're raising money to build a quilting studio in G's Bend, Alabama. So the whole project is a community upcycled fundraiser for awesome people. I hope that you will consider joining. It's not a huge time commitment, but it is a lot of fun. Okay, so as you will note, the square that we're making has a white background. Super easy to find this type of fabric. I have a linen background here, which I actually did a project with a really lovely company down in Bantam, Connecticut called 22 Wallpaper and Textiles. And they actually have linen waste material that they passed on to me just to see, like, what can you come up with? And here we are making it into a G's Bend collaborative quilt. So you can use a shirt. Excuse me, I'm coming right back, but I haven't gone too far. This is, if you have a shirt, this is my gardening shirt, and it's actually a little there's some stains and stuff. I wear it outdoors in the summertime when I don't want to get a sunburn. But if you have a white shirt that maybe you're a waitress, a waitron, someone who works in public and needs to wear like a, button-up white shirt, you can use the back of a white shirt. Sometimes there's, it's a little cleaner because you're not so prone to having, spills on the back of your shirt. And you can cut a 12 by 12 inch square out of the back of most shirts without having to go across the seam. I do have to say, one of the most beautiful things about G's Bend quilts is that they are wonky. So if there is a seam in the middle of your square, so be it. That's 100% fine. You do not need to worry about that kind of thing. Okay. So see if you have a white shirt. Maybe someone in your household has a white shirt that you're looking to get rid of, rather than throwing it into the donation pile if it's damaged in any way, stains, holes, whatever. This is a really good option for that. The thing that is important about your background fabric is that it's a woven, not a stretchy one. So you don't want to use like a t-shirt. You want to use a woven fabric. And the way most woven fabrics are identified is when you pull them like this, they don't stretch. There's like a tautness to it. Sheets would work really well if you have any sheets that have, past their prime, and you can, maybe a pillowcase actually, because the sheets are so large. With pillowcases are a little bit more easy to work with, and, would be perfectly suitable. It does not have to be snow white. It could be natural in color. It could be a dove gray, any kind of like light sort of creamy color, whatever you have is 100% fine. The other things I'm thinking of that household textiles you might have kicking around: kitchen towels. We talked about sheets, kitchen towels. Sometimes you have like even, what my husband has, which I would use, but he uses them and they're in use. Drop cloths. If you have a drop cloth, and you can use, it doesn't have to be any kind of special material. It just needs to be white or cream. It needs to be cleanable. So, if you're using a drop cloth, please go ahead and machine wash and dry that before you cut your square, so that you don't have like really ravelly edges. But that's a great idea for your background of your square. If anybody's just joined, if it's your first time here with me, and you have a question, please just post it right in the comments and I'll do my best to answer each of those questions. Okay, here we go, back to the sample square. So now we're going to look for this piece, this round piece that's in the middle. That's the piece I have here is this beautiful African print. And I actually found this amazing suit at the thrift store not long ago. And it's made out of this gorgeous African print fabric. And it's not a suit like a traditional like button, you know, suit and three-piece type of thing. It's more of like an African traditional shape where the top has long kind of slitted sides. I don't think there's any pockets, with a very narrow collar that stands up and just a slit that comes down the front. And then the pants are drawstring, very like loose fitting, but a little tapered on the leg. And it, you know, there's a lot of material there that is just absolutely gorgeous. So I wanted to tie a bit of that in, where, you know, this project is going to support Gee's Bend, which is an African-American community located in Alabama that has been putting out and creating the most amazing, the most beautiful quilts that I have ever seen. And I am hooked. Their aesthetic is right up my street. Okay, so for that middle piece, something like this funny little dress from the Goodwill. This is a rayon, I believe it's rayon. Yep, rayon woven again. You know, I like that it's got a floral print on it, but it has the dark background, which will set it, just give it a little contrast from the petals. So something like that. There's some other pieces I have here too. Hold on one second. This shirt is another just example of something that would work really nicely for that. And, you know, dark ground. This is a dark, these actually are both pretty black in the background. But, you know, you could go with a navy blue. If you have something like a dark flannel, that would work just fine as well. You do not have to have the, you don't have to have a floral print to make that work, but like flannel plaid, you know, and again, this is actually, this flannel that I have here was from a pair of jeans that I recycled, and they were flannel lined. So I cut the flannel lining out, and I have this, these pieces for that. Okay, then we go on to the petals. Oh, and let me just interrupt myself for a minute and say hello, Melissa Draper, you awesome person out there in Utah, and Lynn. Oh, you're both on YouTube today. Thank you for tuning in. That's awesome. Oh, Janet Cooper. Oh, Janet Cooper, you might want to participate in the Stitch Along. It's super fun. Anybody else out there, if any questions come up, oh, Chris Silverman, thank you for loving my work. There's a lot of you guys today. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate your time. So, okay, so now we're going to move on to the petals, and I'm going to go through this pretty quickly because I like to keep these sessions kind of short. This is a scarf that one of my kids got somewhere. This would make a perfect petal. So the petals are these pieces here, and they're quite small, right? So you don't need a large piece of fabric. So on this particular scarf, you could cut a petal from the pink part here. You could cut a different one from the purple down, you know, there's purple, there's pink. So you could get some really different looking petals from one piece of fabric. You wouldn't have to have all the, you know, you don't have to have 5 or 6 different types of fabric to make those petals. And actually, as I'm looking at this scarf, the green that's in the background here would be super suitable for that little heart that's going to turn into the 4-leaf clover in the corner of the squares as we start to build that the kits. So then other options for petals. This shirt has been used for lots of different things. Something fun like that plaid, a bright colorful plaid like that would be a nice petal fabric. And then we have other things like, let's see, I pulled these out of our discard bin at the house. So this is another little shirt that one of my kids decided against keeping. So that would also make a nice petal. Although I have to say the white ground of this, it's better actually to have something with a little bit more color in the background, just to set it off from the background of the quilt square that we will be sewing in the stitch along. So you can see there's the sample quilt square. And for anyone who joined recently, this sample is a 7-inch square, and the squares we're actually making for the stitch along are 12-inch squares. So they're a little larger. And let's see, what else do I have in my bag? Oh, and then this is, I have a daughter Her name is Violet, and I often will go into her room and she'll be cutting up her clothes. I don't know where she learned that. So this was a shirt that she decided to use the back for something, but what a pretty green, right? That's a beautiful green, and that will look really super nice in the corner here. So all of the fabrics that I'm using are, and actually for all the kits that we build in my studio, all the fabrics are cut from the garments that I just showed you or something similar. The thing that is most important is that it's fun. You do not need to get stressed about this. And honestly, whatever fabrics you have on hand are perfectly suitable. I am 100% sure that if you have a textile centric crafting hobby, that you probably have plenty of materials in your home that you can use for this project. And if you have any questions about building your kit and you need a little help or guidance, you can always reach out to me. And once you can register for the Stitch Along, like I said, on my page. And once you register, you'll get a bunch of information from us about how to go ahead and build your kit. I just want to field any questions that come up. Let's see, I've got one here. I would like to use my own fabric. Where do I get the pattern to join the Stitch Along? Carrie, you can register for the Stitch Along on my website. It is crispina.eco. And I think if you're on Instagram, which I see that you are, you can go to my bio and there's like a link tree in there. And there's one that's like, if it doesn't say Stitch Along 3.0, if you just go to my website itself, crispina.eco, top right-hand corner, there's a big Stitch Along button. Hit that and you will be right in the spot where you can get registered. So many wovens have stretch now, spandex and lycra. It's true. And you know what? It doesn't matter. It's okay. Like, use what you've got. If you're familiar with the G-Spend quilts, you will see over the years, like back in the 70s, there was a lot of double knit used, polyester double knit used in their quilts. There was a corduroy sewing factory near G-Spend at one point. I'm not sure if it's still in business, but there was a lot of corduroy from the sewing factory that was used initially back in the day. Like the first generation of who we know were the G-Spend quilters, they used old work clothes because they were slaves and they didn't have anything else. There was nothing else available to them and they were cold. So they used what they had, which is what Mary Margaret loves to say, like, use what you have to do what you need. So on Mary Margaret's advice, I would just like to encourage everyone listening to use what you have to participate in the Stitch Along. There is no need to buy much. Any questions? I think I got them. Carrie's got their hands up, so she's got that. Awesome. Thank you. I can't wait to see your name on the list, my dear. And anything else? I'm just scrolling back. I don't see any other questions. So I think what I'm going to do is hop off and encourage you, if questions arise, or if you're watching this as a recording, we will be keeping a close eye on this feed so that we can really answer the questions as they arise and you don't have to wait too long. And also, if you're interested in being notified by email, you can jump on the email list for the Stitch Along or for whatever else we do. We do a lot of other things. We have an amazing online community for textile upcycling. And we do a summit in the spring. There's a lot of cool and fun things to do with a group of amazing people who are just all around us, you guys. Like, what an awesome world we live in. So without much further ado, I just want to wish you all a beautiful day. I hope you all have an opportunity to enjoy it. And I'll see you next week. I do these sessions every week on Tuesdays at 11 a.m. Eastern time. So please, if you're enjoying this, share it with your friends, mark it on your calendar, and come back around for next week's little session. Thanks so much. Take care.